The jungles of Teleria were infamous even among hardened spacefarers. Vines hung like braided ropes, glowing spores floated through the misty air, and predators slithered and stalked under every layer of foliage. To most humans, it was a planet to avoid, a place where nature seemed determined to strangle out anything that dared set foot upon its soil. But to Eric Harlow, explorer and biologist, Teleria was a treasure trove of discovery. His mission was simple: document new species for the Interstellar Ecology Guild. The rewards were high, but so were the risks. He had been traveling alone for 3 days, his boots soaked from swamps, his pack weighed down with scanning equipment and survival rations. When he first heard the desperate cry, it wasn't human. The pitch was higher, wavering, laced with pain and terror. He froze, hand tightening around his plasma machete. The jungles played tricks. Mimic predators often imitated screams to lure prey closer, but this sounded too real, too raw, against every survival instinct. He pushed through thick vines and stumbled upon a small clearing. What he saw made his breath catch. An alien girl, slender, azure-skinned, with translucent frills along her head that shimmered like fins, was ensnared by a massive serpent. Its scaled body coiled around her torso and limbs, constricting tighter with every thrash of its muscular length. The alien girl's golden eyes bulged with terror as she clawed helplessly at the beast's grip. The snake was at least 20 meters long, its body thicker than Eric's chest, muscles rippling as it crushed the life from her. Saliva dripped from its fangs as it prepared to strike the final blow. Without thinking, Eric charged forward. "Hang on," he shouted, slashing with his machete. The blade hissed against the serpent's scales, sparks flying as the energy edge bit deep. The snake hissed in rage, uncoiling enough to whip its tail at him. Eric was hurled back, slamming into a tree trunk. Pain flared down his ribs, but he staggered up, refusing to retreat. The alien girl let out a strangled cry as the coils tightened again. Adrenaline roared through Eric's veins. He thumbed his wrist blaster to full power, aimed and fired. Blue plasma bolts scorched into the serpent's side, leaving charred welts. The beast shrieked in fury, uncoiling just enough of the girl to slip free and collapse onto the damp ground. But Eric wasn't fast enough. The snake lunged, its maw wide, fangs glinting. He braced for death, and then the alien girl moved, with a speed that belied her earlier helplessness. She sprang to her feet, her frill crest flaring wide. In a blur, her arms, longer and stronger than they appeared, wrapped around the snake's thick neck. Her muscles tensed, tendons standing out as she squeezed with impossible force. The serpent thrashed, smashing trees aside, but her grip only grew tighter. Her eyes glowed fiercely as she bared her teeth, emitting a guttural snarl that echoed across the clearing. With a sickening crack, the snake's spine gave way. Its body went limp, slamming into the ground with a quake that sent birds screaming from the canopy. For a long moment, Eric could only stare. The girl, gasping for breath, stood over the slain predator. Her skin glistened with sweat, her frills drooping with exhaustion. She looked down at him, chest rising and falling, golden eyes burning with a mix of relief and suspicion. He swallowed hard, lowering his weapon. "I was just trying to help." She tilted her head, studying him. Then, slowly, she spoke in halting, accented galactic standard. "Human, why save me?" Eric hesitated. "Because you were in danger, and because I don't believe in walking away when someone needs help." Her eyes softened, just for a moment, before she turned away, staring at the broken snake. "My clan left me behind. They said I was weak, that I could not survive Teleria's trials." Eric frowned. "So this was some kind of test?" She nodded bitterly. "Right of proving. If I die, I am unworthy. If I live," her gaze hardened, "then I return stronger. The journey begins." She introduced herself as Koreshi, daughter of a lesser chieftain of the Riverclaw tribe. Her people believed strength was the only measure of worth. Eric offered to escort her back, but she bristled at the suggestion. "I must return on my own," she insisted. Still, she didn't stop him when he chose to travel in the same direction. The jungle was too dangerous for either of them alone. Over the next days, they faced horrors together. Venomous insect swarms forced them into caves where bioluminescent fungi painted the walls like stars. They crossed rivers where reptilian jaws snapped just beneath the surface. And through it all, Eric realized something. Koreshi wasn't weak. She was fierce, clever, and resilient, but her people's expectations had weighed her down like chains. At night, around small campfires, she told him fragments of her life. How she had always been smaller than her sisters. How she preferred observing the jungle's mysteries rather than hunting. How her father warned that compassion was weakness. Eric, listening, found himself telling her of Earth, of blue skies free of spore mist, of oceans wider than Teleria's rivers, of a place where cooperation had saved humanity from extinction more than brute strength ever had. Strange, Koreshi murmured one night, staring at the flames. Among my people, such words would be mocked, yet they did not sound weak. The betrayal. On the seventh day, they reached the River Claw encampment. Carved into the cliffside, its huts of woven reeds overlooked rushing rapids. Warriors stood guard with bone spears tipped in hardened crystal. As Koreshi stepped forward, the camp erupted in shocked cries. Her father, Chief Thartel, emerged, towering and broad-shouldered, his frills adorned with ceremonial paint. His golden eyes narrowed. You live, he rumbled. Impossible. You were cast out to die. Koreshi lifted her chin. I killed the great serpent of the deep glade. I return stronger, as the right demands. The tribe murmured in astonishment, but Tharkel's gaze shifted Eric. His face twisted with disgust. You had help. A human carried you here. He did not carry me, Koreshi snapped. He fought beside me, but the serpent I killed with my own hands. But the chief's mind was made. You bring dishonor. You let alien blood taint our trials. You are no daughter of mine. The word struck Koreshi like a blade. Her frills drooped, but she stood firm. If compassion is dishonor, then perhaps our tribe has forgotten what true strength is. Turning the tables. That night, Tharkel ordered Koreshi and Eric bound. He declared they would be cast into the rapids at dawn, a lesson to all who would break tradition. As warriors dragged them to the cliffside, Eric struggled against his bonds. I'm sorry, he muttered. I shouldn't have followed you. This is my fault. Koreshi shook her head, eyes blazing. No, you showed me strength is more than cruelty. Tonight I prove it. When the warriors shoved them forward, Koreshi twisted with sudden ferocity. Using the very ropes meant to bind her, she looped them around the nearest guard's neck and yanked hard. The warrior toppled into the rapids. Chaos erupted. Eric kicked another in the chest, buying Koreshi time to seize a spear. She moved with lethal grace, parrying blows, striking pressure points, fighting not just with muscle but with cunning. For the first time, Eric saw her unshackled. Not the weak exile, not the ashamed daughter, but a warrior in her own right. They fought their way free, retreating into the jungle under a storm of shouts. By the time the tribe rallied, Koreshi and Eric had vanished into the mist. A new path. For days they wandered. Eric expected Koreshi to despair, but instead she grew steadier. My clan has cast me out twice, she said, gazing over a sunrise-drenched valley. Yet I am still alive. Perhaps my strength is not for them. Then who is it for? Eric asked gently. She smiled faintly. For those who understand it. For those who fight beside me, not above me. Her golden eyes locked onto his. For you. Eric felt warmth spread through him, deeper than he expected. In the jungle's danger, an unbreakable bond had formed. Together, they built a shelter, planned routes, shared food and laughter. And though the world of Teleria was harsh, it no longer seemed so suffocating. Koreshi had turned the tables. Not just on the serpent, not just on her tribe, but on her destiny. She was no longer the girl meant to die. She was a woman who had chosen her own path, with a human at her side. Ending. Months later, rumors spread across Teleria. A rogue pair roamed the wilds, a human explorer and a fierce alien girl, who slew predators, mapped new lands, and aided scattered outcasts. Some called them fools. Others called them heroes. But to Eric and Koreshi, labels didn't matter. What mattered was simple. Survival, discovery, and the bond that had grown between them when a giant serpent tried to end one life. And a single act of compassion began another. For in a jungle that crushed the weak, they had found each other. And in that, a strength greater than any tribe's tradition.